This week, let's talk state amendments that are on the ballot.
Welcome to the show that takes up no more than 5 minutes of your time, but could help you gain massive real estate knowledge. It's 5 Minutes in Real Estate with best-selling author Shane Willis.
All right, so welcome to this week's show, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to do a political show. Now, before you shut me off already, I don't care who you're voting for president. I don't care who you're voting for senator. I don't care who you're voting for county commissioner. Go vote. That's my only statement there. But that's not what this show is about. So let's get that out of the way because I honestly don't care. That's up to you. What I want to talk about is two amendments on this year's Florida ballot. Now, there's 4 amendments. The first one talks about solar energy. The other one talks about medical marijuana. Vote your conscience. Again, I don't care. The other 2 have something to do with real estate. So that's why I wanted to bring that up this week as we start early voting now. Amendment 3 talks about tax exemptions for totally and permanently disabled first responders. Now, there's a law on the books right now that says if a first responder dies in the line of duty, then their spouse gets a tax exemption, period. But there's nothing on the books that says if a first responder becomes permanently disabled in the line of duty, that we can give them a tax exemption of their homes. And that's what this amendment is talking about. Giving the first responder that got permanently disabled due to serving us a tax break on their property. In my opinion, that's a no-brainer. These guys are serving us. They got permanently disabled, and now we're going to give them a little break. We're going to help them out some. So, in my mind, that's a no-brainer. Now, Amendment 5, which I kind of thought it was funny. It went 1, 2, 3, 5, but I know they pulled out number 4. Anyways, Amendment 5 got a little confusing there at first. I read it about 6 times, and then I actually had to do some hunting myself to try and figure out what in the hell these guys are trying to say. But after doing a little research, I come to the conclusion that I think I understand it enough to vote educationally. Here's what it's titled: the Homestead Tax Exemption for Certain Senior Low-Income Long-Term Residents, Determination of Value. First of all, even the title was freaking confusing in my mind. I went, okay, define certain senior. What the hell does that mean? Define low income. Nobody knows. Define long term. Yeah, well, you haven't done that yet. And determination of value. Okay, that one I got. So homestead tax exemption, determination of value for all these other middle things. So here's what I have found on this particular amendment. Let's define it some, and that makes it easier to vote. The current senior tax exemption set rules. It's an age. When it talks about the age, how old? Over 65. So at least we've defined that now. Okay, over 65. Length of time, 25 years. Maximum value of their home, $250. Sorry about that. My phone went off. $250,000. So what it basically is saying is someone bought a property 25 or more years ago. They've been living in it as their home for the entire time. This is their time. And as we all know, in Florida, property values have risen over the past 25 years. Imagine if somebody's been living in this property for 40 as their home. It can get well over $250,000 in value. South Florida, that's not hard at all. Up here in the Panhandle, it's not as prominent. But I lived outside of Tampa Bay for a while. That wasn't hard at all. So if you have a fixed income and you're continuing to property rise, what this amendment is saying is that if you meet these criteria, meaning you're over 65, they haven't really justified or quantified the income requirements yet. So it says low income. I haven't seen a quantification. I think that's going to be county by county. So the county can make that decision based on the median income of that particular county. Escambia County, where I live, is going to obviously be different than Hillsborough County down in Tampa Bay. So the counties are going to be able to make that decision. But it says if someone over the age of 65 with the county defined income level have lived in a property for 25 years or more, that their taxable rate will never exceed $250,000. So it may be a $500,000 property, but their taxable rate's not going to exceed $250,000 because they didn't cause that. Now, if they sold the property and the new property they bought, that exemption doesn't come into play anymore. So this is just helping folks that have stayed in a property for more than 25 years as their home and are on a fixed income to kind of combat the continuing rise of property values, which has an obvious correlation with the rise of, a tax bill. But what you need as a buyer, if you're paying attention to that, if someone does have that exemption, if this amendment passes and someone does have that exemption, you need to pay attention to that exemption, because as soon as you buy that property, the property is going to be reassessed and the taxes will probably go up. Hopefully that helped clarify a little bit of these two amendments. Again, the rest of the ballot, vote your conscience. I don't care. These two, in my opinion, need to get on the books. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll talk to you next week.